Hey everybody, Tony Beers here, and I've been seeing a lot of videos talking about this Spider-Man reboot, and I thought I'd give my opinion. For those of you who do not know, there will not be a Spider-Man 4. Instead, they are rebooting the entire franchise, and I think this is a terrible idea. I think that a reboot's going to suck. Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, especially Spider-Man 2, was probably one of the best comic book movies ever made. Sam Raimi knows what he's doing with Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3 pretty much sucked, and the reason for this is that the studio came in, the producers came in, and they basically told Sam Raimi what to do. So that's why Spider-Man 3 sucked, because they interfered with what he wanted to do. And that's why this reboot's gonna suck. Why he was fired, or why he left the Spider-Man project, the 4 project, is that, for what I heard, is that the producers wanted to throw in a bunch of characters, just like Spider-Man 3. They wanted to throw in Venom that he didn't want. He wanted to do the Vulture, as far as I know, and they wanted to throw in the Black Cat, and he didn't want to do that, and that's why there's no Spider-Man 4. Also, I heard the script sucked. Like I said, that's why this reboot's gonna suck, because this new movie, will probably have the same producers telling the director what to do. Most likely, they won't get a well-known director. Most likely, they'll get someone, straight out of film school, or who has directed car commercials or something like that. What they want is a director that they can treat like a puppet. They can just tell him what to do and he'll do it. They want some guy to come in there and say, "Yes, sir, Mr. Producer, whatever you say, I'll put it in here." So that's the type of person that they're looking for. Just so they don't want a real good director, because they're going to make money on this no matter what, because Spider-Man is a household name. People are going to go see it. I'll go see it just out of curiosity to see if it might actually be good or not, because honestly, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that this Spider-Man will be actually really good. I'm betting that it's not going to be. And I hate it when studios do this. They think they know what the fans want, and to be honest, some of you fanboys out there, you don't know what you want. For example, Dark Knight was one of the best comic book movies ever made, along with Spider-Man 2 and some others. And when I saw first pictures of Heath Ledger, I was like, he's not the Joker. The Joker's, all his skin is white. He doesn't just wear makeup, his skin is white. And that, that's not the Joker. And I was wrong. I saw the movie, and Heath Ledger was great in it. So I was happy I was wrong there. So the fans don't know what they want. Have some faith in your director, especially someone who is a fan like Sam Raimi himself. So that's what they want. They want to pull the director's strings. And what happens when the studio takes over from the director? You get movies like X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Spider-Man 3. That, the fans want Gambit, so we'll just throw them in here. The fans want Blob, so we'll throw them in here, even though they serve no purpose in the story. And we throw this other character, who is not in the comics, just so we have somebody to kill off, we'll shoot Wolverine in the head, and that's how he loses his memory. Let's take Deadpool and make him look like Baraka. That's what you get when you get a film made by the studios instead of a competent director. So yeah, that's why it's gonna suck, And I've heard some people say, well, they need to get rid of Tobey Maguire and Kristen Dunst, which they aren't gonna be in this reboot anyways. But I've heard a lot of people say that, well, Kristen Dunst, she's ugly, and I'm like, she's not ugly. I mean, are you kidding me? She's not as hot as the Mary Jane in the comics. She's not as hot as Bryce Dallas Howard was as Gwen Stacy, but she's cute, And what straight man did not get turned on by seeing her all wet in the rain in that kissing scene in the first Spider-Man movie? You have to be gay not to get turned on by that. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, Kristen Dunst is pretty cute. I don't see what people's problem they have with her. Tobey Maguire, a lot of people say he's too old for the role. He's 34, I think, 34 or 35. That's only a couple years older than myself. But the thing is, he doesn't look 34 or 35. He looks about 22. So I think he's perfect to still be playing Spider-Man. I don't know what people's problem with him is either. I heard some people say, well, I want to see Spider-Man back in high school, and they say that's when he was his best, was when he was in high school, which I don't know. I suppose you could argue that, but I mean, that's what Joe Quesada said, you know. He said, oh, Spider-Man's best when he's really young and he's single. I mean, and then he gave us One More Day, which all the fans hated. He took back Spider-Man to being a single guy, and everybody hated that. So why do you want Spider-Man to go back? I mean, I personally would hate to go back to high school. That's a nightmare for me, going back to high school. I mean, you gotta let your character grow. You gotta let him grow up, you know, advance the story along. Why keep him in high school? That's dumb. You know, he's gotta evolve. A couple things that was really bad about Spider-Man 3 was they introduced Gwen Stacy, which had absolutely no purpose in that movie. First of all, the movie version of Mary Jane is basically an amalgam of Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy, so you didn't really need a Gwen Stacy in there. I assume that they threw her in there. The producers and the studio asked for her to be in there. Oh, the fans want her in here, though. So I assume that they put her in there for a love interest for Peter Parker, or some little friction in his love life. That's what she was in there for, and it didn't go anywhere. It really was kind of pointless. If you're gonna have Gwen Stacy in a Spider-Man movie, you know, this would probably be it. This reboot, because that's when she knew Peter was in high school, and then later in college. So if they didn't introduce her in Spider-Man 1, you know, there's really no point for her in Spider-Man, what would have been Spider-Man 3 and 4. And Venom. Okay, Venom was thrown in there, obviously. I don't like Venom. He is probably one of my least favorite Spider-Man villains. I really don't see his appeal. He is one of the most cliche superhero characters. His character is that cliche of a supervillain with similar powers to the superhero, but he uses it for evil. I mean, when have we ever seen that before? Except for Bizarro, Reverse Flash, Abomination, Sinestro, Ironmonger, you know, and the list goes on. It's one of those cliches in comics to have a villain like this. So I never really liked Venom. A lot of people didn't like Topher Grace in it, which I agree he was bad as Venom and it was kind of a poor choice, but I kind of see where Sam Raimi was going with it. He wanted someone physically equal to Tobey Maguire, and that's where you get Topher Grace. As far as Kirsten Dunst not being as attractive as she is in the comics, also I think Sam Raimi was going for someone equal to Tobey Maguire. I'm told Tobey Maguire isn't that good looking, so they wanted someone to be more realistic, for someone to be equally on his attractiveness, that you could believe that Tobey Maguire could get Kirsten Dunst, you know. So I think that's where Sam Raimi was going for with that. And with Spider-Man 3, you had, you know, basically 3 villains, and whenever you do that, then you push aside the other villains to make room for the main villains. And like the second Green Goblin, Harry Osborn, he didn't get enough screen time, if you ask me, to make room for Venom and the Sandman. He didn't really pay off very well as a villain. It didn't really give him enough time to develop his character as a villain. And also, I didn't like his costume. I thought it was pretty lame, and I didn't like the surfboard or skateboard or whatever it was. Snowboard, whatever board it was. So, you know, a lot of people don't like the Green Goblin's costume, and I'm not wild about it, but I didn't see anything wrong with it, really. I was fine with that. I did not like the second Green Goblin's costume, though. I actually thought that was much worse. And now that we're not going to have a Spider-Man 4, we won't see the conclusion to the character of Kirk Connors, who eventually becomes the Lizard. He is introduced in Spider-Man 2, I think, and his character never got fleshed out. We never got to see the Lizard, and now we probably won't in a Spider-Man 4 anyway. So yeah, that's disappointing. Well, we don't get to see Sam Raimi's version of the Lizard. I was looking forward to seeing John Malkovich as the Vulture. I think he'd be a perfect Vulture. So that's too bad that we'll never see a Spider-Man 4. It's kind of good in a way, because Spider-Man 4 would have been made by the studio instead of Sam Raimi, so they probably would have screwed some things up. So it's a good thing that we didn't get to see Spider-Man 4, but this reboot, it's gonna suck, you know, that's my prediction. It's gonna suck. Who knows, it might be great. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's will be good. But I don't think this should be made. I think they should try to do a Spider-Man 4. The studio should learn from its mistake and just let Sam Raimi do it whatever he wants. I mean, he's proven that he can direct an awesome Spider-Man movie. He's proven it twice. He made Spider-Man 1 and 2, which is even better. So I don't know why they lost faith in him. You know, that's what I think about Spider-Man Reboot. So I'll see you next time.